Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific time in the United States, 10 AM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. Hope all you guys are well. We are working on an Art Deco building in the Unreal Engine 4.16.3. Epic did an update, a hotfix update the other day to the engine, and I updated to it last night. Again, just for the benefit of anyone new to the channel, this is the Art Deco building that we've brought into Unreal Engine. We created an environment for it, so I'll play the video for that really quickly. This video is just a still shots of the environment, so it's not moving, but in the final cinematic, which is what we're creating in the Unreal Engine, everything will be moving in the wind and looking pretty and all that type of thing, so but not in these still shots you're seeing here. I'll just grab a quick drink while that's playing through. Remember guys, if you've got any questions or anything you're not sure about, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If you just want to pop into chat and say hi, that's always welcome. If you just want to watch, that's completely fine. So again, this is the environment we've created in Unreal for our Art Deco building cinematic. It will be all animated and moving in the final cinematic. It's not in this the video you're seeing here. These are just still shots. And the reason I'm playing the video and not showing you in Unreal is simply because OBS hates real time in Unreal. So to keep a constant frame rate, I can't really turn real time on in the engine. All right. So yesterday we were working on our Art Deco building interior, which is what we're going to continue doing. We've done the environment, we're going to do the interior. I'm going to do a final pass on the environment before we create our final cinematic. Once we've finished working on the interior. So let's jump back up to where we were working on in our interior, which is the main room. Up here, we brought our lights in yesterday. My mouse got lost. We were working on the ceiling yesterday. Just doing our plaster work on our ceiling, and then we brought our lights in. I just want to, I had a question yesterday about transparent materials and glass, and my main doorways downstairs, I'm just using a transparent material for the glass, for the stained glass. But for these actual light fittings, I'm using a glass material, and I've set it up to be a refractive index more like crystal. And that's simply so that if we get our camera near one of our crystal pieces here, if you look through it, you can see that a proper glass material will give you the proper refraction. Now, generally that's not a problem. Unless you're going to be getting close to an object to see it, most times people aren't going to notice it. But in our case, I'm going to bring my camera during our fly through right next to our light fittings, so we will get to see that refraction happening, and that's the reason I chose a glass material as opposed to just a transparent material for the I don't know what you call these crystal pieces that hang off the chandelier, just so we get that nice refraction happening in the glass. And like I said, it's most noticeable in that door frame. You see it being distorted. You won't get that with just a transparent material. So yeah, just a glass material is good for situations where you want the proper effect if you're going to get near the glass, basically. Alright, so we worked on our ceiling yesterday. Again, what I'm doing here with these rooms is I'm working from the front to the back gradually. Now we still have to fix this bay window in this main room. I'm still thinking about what I want to do here. But we do have to do that to finish off this room, and we're going to finish the rooms until before we put furniture and plants and things in. So we will have plants, we will have furniture, some furniture, not completely finished, in the building. But at this stage, I'm concentrating more on just getting the interior done, and then we'll do a pass for the decorations, I guess you'd call them. So yeah, again, we finished our ceiling. I think I want to bring a floor in to this room now. So what I'm going to do, I think, is jump into Substance Painter, because I do have a floor set up in there that I want to bring in. So let's do that real quick. And that's this one here. Now again, if I zoom around on this a bit, it's important that you don't make your things look too clean, particularly floors. So if we look at this side tile here, you can see it's got a dirt pattern on it, so it's not completely clean. The same with these side tiles here, these are a little dirty as well. And of more importance though is the main wooden floor here. It's really subtle. I hope now that I've fixed OBS for my stream looking really dark you can see it, but there are some sections in here that are lighter than others. And that's mainly around where people would be walking on the floor. So more toward the middle of the floor. If I pull back a little bit, it might be easier for you to see. So yeah, just a bit of color variation on the floor itself to indicate wear and tear. Now this floor isn't completely done. I want to change the color a little bit. I don't like the brown. I think it's a bit too light. So I'm going to just make some adjustments to the color now. I think we'll start with the top layer. Basically, this is just using 3 layers of the same texture, the substance texture, with an alpha map to indicate where I want the wear and tear to be. And the top color is the really darker wood. I have a medium wood and then a lighter wood, just to give 3 variations of color on the wooden floor. But let's make some adjustments here to the color. I'm just going to pull back on the luminosity. I want to darken the floor up a bit. Just gradually pulling back on the luminosity a bit. Might be a bit much. Let's go back to the first one and pull that back a little bit more, see what that looks like. Alright, let's bring this floor into Unreal and check it and see how this texture works in that room. I'll export my textures. Let's jump into Unreal and import those textures. And there are three texture sets, so there's going to be 3 different textures on that asset. All right, this is the good thing about Substance Painter and Unreal, because they integrate so well. We can bring our textures in, see what the asset looks like, and if we want to make any changes, it's really quick and easy for us to do that. All right, let's turn on our floor here and see what it looks like. Oh. And now again, the fogginess level is a bit high. I will turn the fog back, but not until we're finished working on everything. And remember, we have to do a rebuild on the lighting as well. And basically what I'm doing here is looking at the composition of the room and the color to make sure that everything looks like it blends in together well, or if there are any colors that look like they could do with being changed. Mainly with the floor here, it's what I'm more concerned with. So I'm just going to view the room from a few different angles and make sure that the color of the floor matches the rest of the interior. I'm also making sure that my tiles are lined up correctly, my floor is lined up correctly with the building. Now I've stopped the floor here because I want to add a different textured floor to the side parts of this room. So I'm stopping the floor around about where this gate is on either side. And you'll notice too, when I made the floor, I'm not just placing one texture on this floor, and that's simply because it makes the floor look more interesting. If we have this separate tile work going on around feature items in our level, like this, the interior around this railing section, railway. So I didn't just use the one texture here for the entire floor. I purposefully, when I created the floor, made it so I could have different textures around different parts of the geometry that's in the building, just to give it a bit more interest. And again, I'm just checking the discoloration we've got going on the floor. So we've got that like lighter wear pattern going here and there throughout the floor. It's not all just one color. I'm just going to set the camera here just for 2 secs so I can check the color again. I do this all the time when I'm creating stuff. I just like to check it out, sit back, look at it for a minute and make sure that the colors all match, that the color composition looks right. Now, initially, in the original UDK version of this building, I had a red floor, more like the color we see back up in here, a burgundy type red floor going on, and which looked okay, but I just felt it made the room look a bit too red. So for this version, I wanted to bring in more of a brown. I don't think that's too bad. Again, when we do a rebuild on the lighting and I start playing with the lighting a little bit more, we can revisit any colors that we think might be a bit off. But looking at it, I think it's okay. So we have our floor in our main room, our floor in our side room. Again, the lighting here I need to work on a little bit. And then we have the floor down here in our entryway. Just keeping an eye on OBS here, because it really does not like Unreal. I think... And again, because the lighting needs to be rebuilt, some of these assets look really bright. That's because the lighting hasn't been rebuilt yet. I think what we should probably do now is, because we're working our way from the front to the back, maybe we'll work on a couple of these side rooms, because we haven't really looked in here at all. As you can see, they're all empty. So let's start doing these. I'm not even sure what we're going to do with that camera with these side rooms, whether we'll just do still shots from an angle or something. We'll work that out when we do our camera cinematics. Let's start by bringing in some columns for the corners of the room. So I'm just going to copy one of these, I think. And pull that back. And the height should be good because we took it from the same height ceiling as the room next door. Let's duplicate it again. Rotate it 90 degrees. I think one in each corner is probably the way to go. Okay, let's bring in some of our plaster work now. We'll start with these two here. I'm just going to duplicate them. Okay, now I'm just looking at the size of these. Now I can scale them in a little bit, but again, I've got to be really careful I don't scale too much because I'm going to start losing the definition in that pattern. It's going to start looking squashed. So I'm just trying to work out what the best way to tackle this will be. I think for this room, and also just to make it a little bit different from the other rooms, if we go with one of these panels, again, we can stretch it out, but I think if we stretch it like that, it's going to look really weird. So if we bring it in a little bit, I'm just going to position it on the wall. And then we grab one of these plain plaster pieces like we're using here. Oh, I don't want to do that. Again, I do this in the perspective viewport, but if you're working with Unreal doing this sort of stuff, jumping into the top viewport is probably a better way to go. It's just not as interesting for you guys to look at, so I work in perspective. But I'd suggest you go into the top viewport to do this sort of stuff. Let's duplicate that one more time for the other side. You see I'm hiding half of the plaster work behind the column. Again, I don't want to scale it because I don't want to squash the texture too much. And again, when we do a rebuild on the lighting, they'll blend in better. Now these side pieces either side of the door are going to be a challenge because this one's really narrow, so we can't use a decorative piece there. But we can use one of these plain plaster pieces, so let's duplicate that again. And rotate it. I'm going to scale this out just a little bit. Again, these little gaps you see at the top, we're not going to worry about that because we're going to be placing a plaster ceiling here. So this side is going to be the same as this side, so we can do a duplicate of these three. Let's rotate them around. Couldn't find the spinner there for a minute to move it. I'm just going to turn off grid snapping here because I prefer to work with it all, but it just makes it a bit more easy for me to move, have fine movements. Like I was saying yesterday though, it's probably a good idea to leave it turned on. If you're working in Unreal, getting everything to snap to a grid is going to make your life much easier. Again, let's use the, yeah, I think we'll just use the plain plaster for the side pieces here, particularly that really narrow little piece. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to use one of these decorative pieces in this narrow section. I think it may squish it too much. Let's see what a plain piece looks like. And let's see if I can scale it out without it affecting the texture too much. Yeah, I think we'll go with plain pieces because if I use one of these decorative pieces, I'm going to have to squish it in too much. It's really going to affect that pattern in the middle. So I'll duplicate this one more time again. Alright, we need a tiny plaster piece for above the doorway. And I think we can grab... I was going to say we can grab one from somewhere else where the curtains are in the way, but that's okay. We can just jump into our content browser here. I know I have a small one that I can use. I've just got to find it. Here we go. Maybe this one. Let's see if we can use this one. This is actually the back, and this is a good trick you can use as well. The back of this decorative piece is just plain plaster. The front has the decoration on it. So if you find that you need a piece of plaster that's plain, you can use this decorative piece if you design it so that the back is just a plain piece, in our case plain plaster, and hide the decoration in the wall. That's just if you need a plain plaster piece and you don't want to bring in a new piece of geometry. I think we should be able to maybe use the decorative piece here though. Let's scale it in a bit. Just having these decorations above the doorway makes the door stand out a bit more. All right, let's bring in the ceiling. Actually, I just want to make this plaster piece a little bit bigger, I think. There we go. All right, let's grab a ceiling piece and bring it in. I'm going for these more plain ceiling plaster pieces for the downstairs and for most of the other rooms. The only room I really wanted those really decorative pieces in was the main room up there. Alright, let's scale it in. I'm also not completely sure what light fitting we're going to put here yet. And I haven't done the floor for this room yet either, so that's something else we're going to have to work on. Which, see what I mean by, even though our plaster didn't go all the way to the ceiling, that little gap is being hidden by the mesh for the plaster on the ceiling. So same thing will be for the floor here. There's a tiny gap, and I generally leave just a little bit of a gap because I know I'm going to be placing another mesh piece for the floor on top of this cement. Alright. I guess we can work on the opposite room. So let's duplicate this column again.
Trying to limit my restrictions. You always fight to feel complete. I never found out what was needed. Life has always been bittersweet. I've traveled through this world a million times before, and every path I cross I know what lies in store. And even though I know my heart is on repeat, life has always been bittersweet.
I was actually thinking I might place fireplaces in this room. We'll see how we go. So this room and the one on the other side, because the house itself has 2 chimney stacks, I thought fireplaces in these rooms might look interesting. Again though, like I said, we'll see how we go. No, I think that's part of the column from the opposite room, poking through the wall there. But again, doing it this way is a good way to cover up anything like that that may be an issue. So if I rotate this one around, I can use the column to hide any intersection like that. If you don't want to put a column there, you just got to go make sure that none of your stuff intersects the other rooms. But that hides that pretty well. Alright. And I think we have columns either side of the door, we do. Actually, I'm just going to check that. Yeah, we do. In this case, I'm using the columns to fill in the sides of the doorway. So if I pull it forward and push it back until that column touches just the part of the green actual door. Just gonna make sure that nothing's sticking through the wall. That looks fine. Alright, let's start copying our pieces around again. Oh, over to the other side. Start with the bit above the door, I think. We need to bring the top piece in before I fit this piece, so I'm just going to grab that to the top of the doorway. Again, I'm just going to make sure I don't go actually outside of the building. Let's grab the plaster for the side walls. Alright, I'm just going to pull this out. This section of wall looks a bit smaller, so I don't actually need these two plain plaster pieces here, but I can probably use them over here, so I'm just going to pull them forward temporarily. Might just scale it out just a tiny bit. Alright, we can use one of those thin pieces of plaster for this side of the wall.